What's up, guys? I'm Shane, and welcome to the Relegation League 2.0. Now, for those of you who have been around the channel for a while, you know what the Relegation League is. I've been doing it almost the entire time the channel's been around. But, for anyone new around here, the Relegation League, I took the relegation concept they use in soccer, because everyone always talks about what happens if the NFL or the NBA or any of these, go to relegation. Well, I got custom conferences in this game. I had them in NCAA 14, so I did relegation. The way it works is I have gone through and divided all of the teams up, basically did a count state by state, put regions together that geographically mostly made sense. I had to stretch it a couple times, but for the most part, it makes sense. The teams that are on top will be in the Power 5 conferences. We're going to pretend the Pac-12 is still real. Thank God they left it in the game, because it would have gotten a lot more complicated if I didn't have them. But the Power 5 conferences will have 16 teams apiece. And then the conferences underneath, the Group of 5, they will have, I believe it's 9? Yeah, so the Group of 5 schools will have 9 conferences apiece, except for the American, because there's 134 teams in the game, so someone was losing a team. But theoretically, college football 26, if it happens next year, like if this, I'm assuming it's just going to be a yearly trend now. Delaware is supposed to be coming up, so it'll even it out. So it'll, at least next year, be nice and even. And then they'll probably go to the Pac-12 and just irritate me more. Anyways, now I say 9. If you do the math out, we're missing 10 teams if we do it that way. And that's because, unlike the last relegation league, what I'm going to do, because we have to leave the independents, we have to leave at least one team in the independent conference. We can't get rid of it completely. I want to. Actually, I don't even know. I didn't even try to get rid of it, but we're just going to pretend that we can't get rid of it, because I have a new game plan. Anyone who has seen relegation league knows this, but again, for those who don't, I give myself 5 years to build a team. 5 years, or if we win a national championship, whichever one comes first. I mastered NCAA 14 so much that the first team we did was UMass. It took us 4 years, we won the Natty, and then I did Kansas, New Mexico State, Akron, and Buffalo. Every single one of those, we won the national championship within the first 3 years. So, 5 years or the first national championship, whichever one comes first, we build the team until then, and then we move on. And I want to have a powerhouse, like random, powerhouse schools all over the place. But the team that I chose to build next, I let you guys vote on. And I was giving it a vote based on all of the Group of 5 schools. You would have 50 or something, 40 something schools to choose from. And it actually worked out most of the time. When Kansas came up to vote, I think they got like 30% of the votes or something like that, which is wild because you had almost every school at your disposal. So it would usually come down to just a couple anyways. But what I'm going to do is the independents are going to be what I'm going to affectionately call the basement conference. Okay, let's just look at the conferences real quick, because it's easier for me to just look at it this way. So here is the ACC. There will be divisions. I'm not adding them because this Dynasty save file is going to be trashed. What I eventually want to do, Buffalo is one of the teams we built up. They were actually the last one we did in the relegation league. As you see, they are a 73 overall team. I would like to make them good. And I actually still have all my save files. So I was going to make Buffalo and Akron exactly the same as they are going into the last season of the relegation league. Like whatever it would have looked like as natural training results. That means Buffalo, for instance, I was giving the Heisman Trophy winner, and I still don't know if I can do this because we're still in early access as I'm recording this. I would make them a 99 overall player because they won the Heisman. If they were underclassmen, they deserve to be 99. So Buffalo would have Ross Roach, a 99 overall, all stats maxed out quarterback. And obviously he doesn't have that yet. So I'm going to hope that early access, like after that, we will be able to edit the rosters and I can edit them up. That's why I don't want to commit to this. Also, I want to do a sim year because I want to see who's at the bottom to figure out who goes into that independence basement bracket before I let you guys choose. And because we only get 30 years now instead of 60, if I push it and I really want to try and do as many teams in here as possible, if we take the max of 5 years on every single school, we only get 6 schools. I don't want to sacrifice a year somewhere, so I'm just going to do this for the standings, and then we're going to jump back, and the teams will be exactly the same. It is nice, though, coming back to this, and, like, there was, obviously, the college football revamp mod added on there. UMass was a team that got kicked off. They were the first team we ever rebuilt. They're back. They're not great, but honestly, compared to what they are during the save file that I have them on, because the Relegation League, I went 4 years of UMass, 3 years of Kansas, and 3 years of New Mexico State. And then I installed College Football Revamped and had to start a brand new save file because a lot of the teams got renamed. Where UMass was sitting at the end of that is not that far off from where they are here. So I'll edit their roster to make them a little bit better, because they're probably going to be, maybe they'll be like an 84 overall school, but they're pretty close to what they're going to be anyways. But looking at the teams here, I know I can add more teams, but I'm not. 16, the all math, like, it adds up right. And also, I love that I can do this now. I'm going to obviously turn divisions on. We can just have 12 conference games. It's perfect. That's exactly what I want. I only want you to play conference opponents. I don't care about the rivalries in this one. You know, the long-standing rivalries. Guess what? Duke got relegated. They're down in the American. So, North Carolina, Duke, not happening. It's not happening. And there's some wild teams in there, because I'm going off of the standings from the Relegation League on NCAA 14, the last one. So you're going to see some teams down in the group of 5 conferences that you don't think should deserve to be there, but it went by old records, and also some teams that's had some really wonky bad years. But this is what the ACC is looking like. Again, obviously I'll do divisions up later, but it takes more effort, and I don't feel like doing that right now. And then the Big Ten, Akron, another team that we did, 74 overall. Again, I want to try and bump them up. And then Notre Dame is actually going to be taking part this time. I left them in the independents last time because actually the way it all added up, just having one oddball team, because there were 126 schools last time, so Notre Dame just sat in the independents, and I just chalked it up to they didn't want to bother with the Relegation League. But now they're in. Now they're going to have to compete, and it's probably going to be to their benefit. Although I think they did win the national championship once during the Relegation League, so it didn't really suffer, I guess, too much. As you can see, kind of looking neat here. Oh, let's go over the states and where they're going to be represented. So the ACC will have all the schools from Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. I believe last time South Carolina was also in here, but it didn't fit. I had to move some other teams around because there's actually some different additions that got added on here. Now, going over to the Big Ten, Ohio is doing some heavy lifting on this conference. Ohio was like, I think Ohio could just have a conference by itself. There's so many schools. But Big Ten is Iowa, who was also not in there last time, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. So having Iowa added on, I think they were in the Big 12 last time. Kentucky, it always throws me off with like that Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, like they're all bunched up right there by Ohio. Like I keep thinking they're like further away, and they're not. They're right there. So it again, like geographically, I don't think there's any odd ones. I try to keep them like sharing borders with other schools. You know, I try not to have any big gaps. But there's some teams that I wanted to keep together, like some states I wanted to keep together, it just didn't work out. So they look a little weird. But as you can see with the Big Ten, you've got Bowling Green up here. I don't think they're going to last very long up there. Miami of Ohio turns into a juggernaut for some reason. NCAA 14 half the time on me. And Akron, again, that was one of our teams. That's why they're going to be up here. With the basement division, while I got Akron up here, whatever team I have previously won a national championship with, whether in the Relegation League or in a main series dynasty, so in this case, the 5 teams we did last time, and then North Texas would be exempt, they're not up to be voted on. They're protected permanently from the basement division no matter how bad they get, because we're not going to use them again. I want to try and go through as many teams as possible doing these dynasties. I'm repeating North Texas specifically because I started with them. I felt like I had to start the new generation with them, but that's it. North Texas is done. North Texas is done. I will not touch them again, at least not for a very long time. Rebuilds is a thing I'm working on right now and experimenting with. I don't know if they're going to be also falling under that rule. I'm trying to focus on teams who I don't think I'm going to get my hands on. I don't know if it's up or now or not. I'm just recording stuff as I go. I want to rebuild Syracuse. If I win the national championship and everything with Syracuse, I don't know if I'm going to disqualify them from being eligible for the relegation league, but they're also just good enough where I don't know if they're ever going to be one of the worst teams to fall all the way from the ACC to the American to the basement. But you never know, because there's some teams down there that don't make any sense. Big 12, and I think North Texas actually earned their spot into the Big 12 in the last one. They're also not going to last very long, I don't think. But the Big 12, so you've got Kansas, Louisiana, and then Missouri and Mississippi are now in here, Oklahoma, and Texas. So I feel like Texas was sort of like the staple, had to be here. Oklahoma had to be with them. There's other schools who I would like to have kept together, but again, the math wasn't mathing. Rice, North Texas, Southern Miss being up here is wild. Oh, and here's our group of 5 schools for the ACC. So you got your App States, Liberty. I'll show you what I'm doing with the independents in a second. Liberty almost ended up in there, but I think they're too good for me to have a shot at them. I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess. Conference USA is the basement for the Big 12. So Kansas State's down here. Oklahoma State's down here. Ole Miss is down here. Mississippi State is down here. Because Mississippi State, Ole Miss, they were with the SEC last time, and they were in the Sun Belt. They had gotten relegated. Kansas State was already here, so it's looking weird. It'll work itself out within a couple of years. These are teams I have in the independents. These are brand new teams who were not in the relegation league at all, even with college football revamped. James Madison was added on near the end, but I think we were already well into Buffalo at that point. So they just replaced FIU, but it doesn't count. I'm not counting it. I think these are the teams, because they're all pretty bad. I'm just going to guarantee they're in the basement because they're new, so it'll be a new team to look at. And then we're going to have the sim season to figure out who else is coming down here. MAC, they tie in with the Big Ten. So Purdue is pretty much the only, Purdue and Northwestern, which I feel like aren't really that shocking, honestly. They're mid-tier group of 4 schools anyway, so I don't think that's too surprising. Pac-12 is alive and well. Pac-12, they have a lot because there's a lot of states with only 1 or 2 schools. So you've got Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Idaho, Nebraska got added over here, New Mexico, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. Nebraska is the only new addition. Pretty much the Pac-12 and Mountain West are shaping up exactly the same as they were before because no one's getting added into the West Coast, I guess. UCLA being down in the Mountain West is pretty wild. I'm surprised BYU is down here too. Or not BYU, Boise State is down here. Usually they've worked their way back up. Washington State's not that surprising. Anyone hoping to see San Jose State or San Diego State? Nope, they're already up here. We're not going to see them for a while. And then SEC, powerhouse as usual. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, who is, again, the new one, and Tennessee. But luckily, with shuffling around all the states, it pretty much added up. So, they lost Ole Miss, Mississippi and Louisiana, but then... Or no, they didn't lose Louisiana. They already had... I think they lost Missouri. But then we added on South Carolina, so trade it off. And then in the Sun Belt, you see the teams that are here. This is wild, though, because there's Florida State and there's South Carolina. They were having weird seasons towards the end. But the way the relegation league works, the relegation and promotion, Protections are granted to the division winners, which is why I still want divisions. It makes it easier to sort of who's moving up, who's moving down, and where they're going. I could just do probably the top 2 conference records, but I like doing the divisions. I like naming them. I start Googling the regions of America and decide what I'm going to name them. That's just where I'm going to nerd out, so we're still going to do divisions. The 2 division winners will get protection, and they cannot be relegated the next season. The 2 teams on the bottom, but the 2 last place finishers in each division will be demoted and relegated down. So for instance, if Marshall was last place in their division, and in the other division, Syracuse would be in the other one, they would get relegated down, which is why conference record is important, because I only care about their conference record for that. But they would be relegated down to the American, and if we go over here, let's say it's Liberty and Duke are the top 2 finishers. The group of 5 schools will not have a conference title game, but luckily now, like, I can force it, so they're all going to play each other too. So the winner, like the 2 top teams, will move on up. I will occasionally move teams around between divisions just to try and, like, get them to match up, but obviously I won't have 2 protected teams in the same division. But yeah, anyone getting promoted will also be protected. So I've had cases where the bottom team was the one who won a division the last year, and the second bottom team was the newest team there. So it was actually the 3rd one up, which I think is how Florida State got relegated in the first place. Because they were 3rd from the bottom, but because it was like UCF who had just been promoted and whatever other school who, I think it was like Florida who was protected. So Florida State got moved down. It gets weird sometimes. But now what I'm going to add on, with the basement division, there will be 10 teams in the basement division, or basement conference. 2 teams from every region. So 2 American teams, 2 Conference USA, 2 MAC, 2 Mountain West, and 2 Sunbelt. Whoever finishes with the best record out of those teams. So I think in this instance, we have Kennesaw State and James Madison are both part of the SEC. Whichever one of those 2 finishes with the best record will get promoted up to the Sunbelt. And whoever finishes in the basement of the Sunbelt will move down here. So this will always be the worst of the worst. And you will have teams, you've got a 50-50 shot of getting out of the FBS. Or not the, the independence here, the basement. You've got a 50-50 shot, so it's not bad compared to everyone else. I can't change independence and make them all play each other. That would be nice, but I guess it doesn't matter. But what I want to, let me try this real quick. Never mind, you don't need to keep anyone in the independence. I'm still going to do it anyways. But that was the whole point of me coming up with the damn basement division. It's because I thought we were stuck with them. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So we should have 10, 11, 11, 11, and 11. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a sim season. We're just going to jump all the way to the end of the regular season. The bowl games don't matter in this case. I don't care who's winning, losing, none of that stuff. This is not real. We're going to jump forward, and whoever the bottom 2 are in each of the group of 5, they will be moved down to the independents. So I'm not just going to automatically make a Liberty or a Charlotte because they're newer and they've never been in it before and make them go down to the independents. It could be UConn. I did a sim dynasty with them one time. They don't count. But this way, like, if Army gets demoted down, like if they finish in last place and go to the independents, and James Madison doesn't, sweet. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. But this is the basic setup for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump ahead to the end of the regular season. We're going to figure out who's going there. And actually, we'll probably advance to custom conferences the next year just to make it more visually appealing. And we will have our 10 teams who are going to be in the basement division. And from there, in the comment section below, you get to vote on who the team is that I will use in the relegation league. I don't know when the relegation league proper is going to start. I want to see if I can edit rosters first. That's the important part. And if I can, I'm going to wait and do that off the dynasty because I don't want to have to do it a second time. So this is just going to be an episode 0, and you could be waiting a month or two before you actually get the first episode of the Relegation League. But I'm going to let you guys vote on it here early. And this way I'll have some time. Okay, so we've simmed the season. I just thought about it. The college football playoff is going to be weird because it guarantees the top 5 conference winners. Pac-12 is a real conference now, so this will be interesting. But Liberty ran away with the American Conference. I didn't think we'd have a chance of seeing them anyways. So at the bottom, and again, this is going by conference record. I don't care about your overall record. We're just going by conference record. James Madison and UConn are the 2 teams at the bottom here. So they're going to go into the basement division. I will say this before you guys vote. I've already done the ACC twice. Whether I can edit the teams or not, I don't know, but I've already done the ACC twice. And we didn't go to the SEC. We've only done ACC. Conference USA, it's Louisiana Tech and UTEP. Good job by Sam Houston saving themselves. You know, like these teams that are down here, like Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, like 2 of you get promoted, and they've both finished ranked, and still were not going to get promoted. They were going to stay in CUSA if this was the final standings. In the MAC, it's going to be the Emus and Ohio. Very green. I was really, 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 really hoping for Northern Illinois. That's just always been the team. Like, they had that one stretch in the early 2000s where they got good, and I just kind of want to, like, get them to the next level. But it's all right. Guys, please don't pick one of these 2 teams. With the North Texas Dynasty going, it's going to get really confusing with that much green. Mountain West, we're going to have Utah State and New Mexico. We've already done New Mexico State. I guess now we get a chance at New Mexico proper. And then the Sun Belt, it's going to be Georgia State and Kennesaw State. So one of the new teams, Jacksonville State, going 7-5. Bowl eligible. Well, I guess I'm glad I didn't commit them down to the basement after all. Alright, so now what I'll do, just give me a second. We're going to jump forward one more time just to the next custom conference screen. And you guys can see the assembled independents and your choices of who you can pick. Okay, so, apparently this bugged out. Can I fix it this way? I can. Okay. So we're going to do Kennesaw. So if you scroll and go to Conference USA, and then after that should be the Independents, but as you see, there's no tab. But then it comes up to the blank spot where there should be it. And in the Mountain West, they're not matching up. They're not matching up. To get to the Sun Belt, it's the SEC, and it goes back to the ACC. The Sun Belt has been erased. So apparently that is not a thing that we should be doing. I'm not planning on doing it again anyways. Okay. Now that I've got it set. These are the 10 schools that you guys will be able to vote on to figure out who will be the first team we do in the Relegation League 2.0. Again, Eastern Michigan. Ignore these overalls. Obviously, we jump forward a year. They're going to go back to whatever they were before, but probably not too much different than where they are here. So Eastern Michigan. We got Georgia State, James Madison, Kennesaw State, UConn, Ohio, New Mexico, Louisiana Tech, UTEP, and Utah State. But that will be the end of this one. This was just at episode 0, just for you guys to know the new rules of the Relegation League, how it's going to work out. And again, like I said, we're still in day 1. This is still Monday that I'm recording this. We're still in the early access, like the EA Play early access period. We're not even in the 3-day early period. Like, I'm still in that early 10 hours. So, Friday, when the worldwide release happens, maybe they'll let me edit rosters. And if I can, then I'm going to have to reshape this whole thing. And if I can't, then I don't know. I guess it sucks to be me, and there's nothing I can do. And Buffalo and Akron are just going to look terrible, and nothing I can do about it. But anyways, that will wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. Again, please be sure to comment down below with the team you want me to pick. Like anyone else who's picking the same team as you, and you can just stack it up and stack it up and stack it up. I've seen it get ridiculous. Again, I got no preference. I really don't have any preference. I just feel like Kennesaw State, you might be sick of seeing them. But otherwise, I don't care. I'll do Kennesaw. I don't know. Again, don't care. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, I'm Shane. I'm out.